What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with...
Gershwan.
Who?
Gersh...
There you go. And we're back to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater...
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That is what Dan Shaw did. He asks, who would win in an arm wrestling match? An Ogryn or a Spacemarine? I guess what you're asking is who is stronger, a Spacemarine or an Ogryn? And we've talked about this multiple times. And actually it was conflicting last time.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to say that a Spacemarine is always going to win over an Ogryn if there's no type of weapon involved, no suit involved. The Ogryn always loses to the Spacemarine.
Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be strong brutes compared to that of the Imperial Guardsmen. That being said, Imperial Guardsmen are just humans, so in terms of humans to Ogryn, that's the kind of multiplier we're inferring. However, when you introduce the Space Marine gene seed, those humans get multiplied already to strong levels of like muscularity and stuff like that. Even higher so when they become a Primaris. Because it's, I believe some pieces of lore state that Primaris Marines, their muscles are actually as strong as metal fibers. So then that tends to blur the line between an Ogryn, which is supposed to be all, I guess, biological, like no real improvements or anything like that.
Yep.
But then you got muscles that are like metal, and that kind of tips the scales in one form or the other. But that being said, I'm gonna give it to the Space Marine because even though they may not look it, they're super strong. And I think even though in a match between just like
Brute force,
they'll know more like leverage and like which muscles in the hand to like push to give themselves the advantage.
Yeah, there's always going to be tactic to whatever
Space Marines do.
Yeah, so or whatever conflict there is,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a Space Marine would always overpower an Ogryn in that sense.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Space question up. Space Marines. Next question comes from Fenrir. Do you think GW would ever do a crossover with Age of Sigmar?
There is an ongoing crossover with Age of Sigmar at all times because chaos. They're the exact same gods, exact same demons. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say, would they ever actually like bring Skaven into 40K? Probably not. But the demons are the same ones.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's by Robert Has Downs Jr. What combo of fast food would a Kroot have to eat to be considered a true-blooded American? Well, he's got to eat burgers and hot dogs. And who would you say has the best burgers and hot dogs?
Well, no, I think that in order to be a true American, a Kroot would have to eat, would have to get a Big Mac. Open up the Big Mac, realize that it's not actually a Big Mac. It's probably the size of maybe half your fist, because that's what Big Macs are now.
Yeah, that's true. They did get small.
They get really small. And then he'd be upset, so he'd take the Big Mac and he'll go across the street to Taco Bell, thinking that he's going to get authentic Mexican food. And in reality, he's just going to get like some burrito, and then he'll put the burrito... No, he would just mash up the Big Mac, put it inside the burrito of something in Taco Bell. Before he bites it, he realizes, no, this isn't quite disgusting enough. So then he would go to some joint with a fryer and deep fry it. And then that's the most American thing.
A Big Mac burrito deep fried. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then a side of an apple pie from Popeyes.
Those apple pies from Popeyes look like Hot Pockets.
I've never actually had one. But the other day, I think you got some.
Yeah, I got some.
And I was like, wow, that looks kind of interesting. Maybe I will try it.
Yeah, I tried it when I got home. I don't really eat pies from any place unless it's like a Baker's Square.
If you guys haven't tried out the spicy sandwich from Popeyes, I recommend it. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
I'm always conflicted on getting that sandwich from Popeyes.
I've gotten to the point now that I get that sandwich instead of the strips or the tenders, which is that's how much better it is. Anyways, next question. I have one from Te Mandé a la Bird. Do you think that the old ones put something into the orc DNA so that when they would come back, they would be able to take control of them once again? No. I doubt it. And I think if that was the intention, those orcs that had that gene, probably the gene got kicked out due to like evolution, which is why the brain boys are considered gone. But yeah, check out our 40 facts on the origins of the orcs to get like a refresher and like an idea of what I believe the orcs truly are. Yeah.
Shinku Kiritu Ichika. How would you imagine the video game Spacemarine, but you get to play as a Deathwatch or a Grey Knight? Pretty much be the exact same thing. Yeah, if you're Grey Knight, obviously you got more like holy symbols and like relics and stuff like that. You'd probably be fighting more demons than orcs. And if it was Deathwatch, probably the same thing, just with a different color scheme.
Maybe new weapons.
Yeah.
Xeno weapons.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Next question comes from the Mandela Bird again. How wet would your panties get if D&D and GW teamed up to make a game? They already did. It's called Blackstone Fortress. They didn't like actually team up, but that's what Blackstone Fortress is trying to do.
Right. It's a mixture of the two.
And then you could even go further back. Dark Heresy. Dark Heresy was a role-playing game using kind of the mechanics of 40K, because you would use the stat line, and then you would play in like a 40K world. The thing that sucked about Dark Heresy, though...
Go ahead, just finish it.
The thing that sucked about Dark Heresy, though, is the fact that you couldn't play as the Xenos. You couldn't play as like a Chaos Spawn. You had to play an Inquisitor or an Inquisitor Acolyte.
Yeah. Which kind of takes the fun of like picking your own dude. And,
yeah.
But anyway, the big one. Why is Gersh1 always yawning in your videos? Tell that boy to stop midnight thugging and pimping those hoes, bro.
It's hard, man. We film these on Sundays. Saturdays are specifically for
midnight
thugging. So,
he's got a detachable rat tail back there that you can't see.
Bloop. I have a shag that just comes off. Whoosh.
He puts it on like you're putting on like false eyelashes.
Yeah.
It's a spectacle.
If you don't know what a shag is, check out our 40 facts on
shags.
Next question.
The Crimson Fire. If the Emperor were to return, how do you think he would view the Tau?
Gross.
And he says, he hates Xenos, but the Tau are closer to his dream for the Imperium than that of the actual Imperium is currently.
He would see the Ethereals and the Ethereal cast as a threat. And he would be like, there's something up here. And he would sense that. And he would see... Because, like, the Great Crusade encountered human civilizations that were actually very stable. They were prosperous for their own people. But there were things that the Emperor didn't like that he did his thing.
Pushed it out of the way.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
What do you think?
At the end of the day, they're Xenos. And I think if the Emperor does implement any types of, like, maybe he uses, like, the caste system, or he does a more push towards, like, technology, which that's already what he's about, he's not going to outright say, look at what the Tau have done, this is what we need to do. Because obviously the Imperium is so xenophobic that even if the Emperor said something like that, that's already going to incite anti-Emperor people to push their agenda, to say, look at your Emperor, he is the false god, we should be the ones in charge. It's going to be like kind of like a political game where you're looking at any little piece that you can take out of context to just push your own agenda.
Yep.
Civil War 2, Horus Heresy V2.
Yeah. Next question comes from Te Mandela Bird. If you could create a new Orcoid, what kind of Orcoid would it be? What would it be in 40K culture, or in Orc culture? I think it would be really cool to have a combination of like a Squiggoth and a Knob. So like a Knob is supposed to be like the bigger, badder orcs that are just like more savage than the regular boys. But a Squiggoth is mindless. So to have like an orc that looks like a fusion of a Knob and a Squiggoth. So basically an orc Ogryn, and he would serve as like a bodyguard maybe, or not even a bodyguard, but like just berserkers. Like when the battle begins, they let these squig orcs out, and they like charge the lines, and you can give them like an additional speed to their run, and they can be a little more tougher than regular boys, and they can't hold guns. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, almost like a red thirst blood angel.
Yep. Exactly.
Would they have any connection to like WAAAGH energy like that, or no?
In a negative way, I feel.
Like maybe they were like weird boys that got too much WAAAGH energy, and instead of blowing up, they became feral or something.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it should be. That's what a feral orc should be, like a hybrid between a squig and an orc. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think from what I know, orcs have a good understanding of what they are, but maybe it'd be something like an orc kept in captivity for too long, and it's beginning to like adapt to its surroundings. And I think it'd be pretty interesting to see like an Eldar orc, like a very slimmed down orc that's kind of smart, but not as smart as like Eldar. I don't know. I'm thinking of think of like the classic alien look, but orcified. So like big head, skinny body, but still kind of orky. Bad concept. Forget I said that.
Next question.
This is by R. Rod, a.k.a. Ricardo Rodriguez. What is the difference between WAAAGH power and Chaos power?
There's no difference. Warp power and Chaos power are the same thing. I think you mean the same. What's the difference between Orc power and... He did say Warp power and Chaos power, right?
WAAAGH power.
I think he said Warp power.
WAAAGH power.
So WAAAGH power is biologically engineered into the orcs, and it's almost like statistically having things on your side. Think of Black Cat from Deadpool, right? That's her name?
Yeah. She's lucky.
Yeah, she's lucky, and I think that's what orcs are. They're lucky. If they think that something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in their own like vicinity. If they think that if a bunch of orcs think that the Emperor is alive, the Emperor is not just gonna come back alive. They're not magical like that. And it's different because warp power is not that. Warp power is just like telekinesis. It's shooting warp flames. It's more tangible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This one's by Impulse Does Ozone. If GW were to release or come up with a new Chaos God, what would it be a god of in your opinion? In my opinion, Slaanesh was created by the Eldar, so maybe this new god would be created from the Tau, and it would be the god of space communism. Well, they kind of already implied that there is something spewing in the warp due to the Tau. Yeah. There's actually in one of the novels, I want to say. And then with the whole Fifth Sphere expansion, it's kind of leading to that. So that's probably going to be the next big chaos thing. But I really do want GW to focus on the minor chaos gods, because I feel that's something that a lot of people forget about. Because every time you think of the chaos gods, it's always Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch. But those are just the bigger gods. Underneath them, you have all the minor gods of like minor emotions like sorrow, despair, hatred.
But they're just greater demons, right?
Well, no, they're their own gods. Yeah, they can spew out their own minor, lesser demons.
They have that in the lore?
Yeah. That's just barely ever touched upon. And a lot of times these minor gods only have they encompass one portion of like the greater gods. So, for example, you have Khorne, which is, the god of being brutally, brutal, powerful, stuff like that. And you'd have a minor god that's like, this is just the god of blood. But overall, he's also strengthening Khorne.
Next question comes from Always Forward, Always. Why don't the Necrons create a mini version of the pylons? Because as I know, computers were invented like 40 to 50 years ago, the first computers was the size of an entire room, but now it's way smaller. The Necron tomb worlds might wake, and wakening for centuries now. So I think you're saying like because computers went from the size of a room to the size of like your thumb, that the pylons can do that. But I think the Necrons have already hit the pinnacle of their technological advancement.
Mm-hmm.
If a pylon is the size of a pylon, then it's gonna stay that way.
Yeah, I think if they made it into like portable, more easily portable devices, that would kind of play too well into themselves. Like think of like having the Necron scarabs be their own little pylon. Like they can just put a swarm of them around like a planet and have them be basically encased in anti-warp stuff.
Yeah.
Which would be cool, but I mean, who knows what they could have done.
Yeah, and then with the argument that you use, like I've noticed that in a lot of when people talk about technology, they always use that kind of argument. Like technology has been advancing this fast since that point, and then the idea is that it's going to continue to advance at the same rate, which I don't actually believe. I think at some point we're gonna hit like a plateau of technological advancement. Like it's only you can only get so small for like a microchip, or even when they figure out quantum computing, if they ever do, like there's limits, and at some point we're not gonna just continually to get better and better and better. So, but yeah, that's just about your question and not so much about 40K Universe. Yeah. Next question comes from Bill Meir. Are you two gay?
It's 2019, so yeah, who is it nowadays, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm happy. You're happy.
Last question.
This one's by the Mandela Bird. Did all Spacemarine fleet-based chapters start off with a world that was theirs and then somehow was destroyed, or were they just created that way?
Wait, repeat the question.
So he's saying, obviously you have fleet-based Space Marine chapters.
Yeah.
Were these always, like, as their inception of a chapter, were they always fleet-based, or did their home world or their chapter monastery blow up, forcing them to become fleet-based?
Gotcha. Yeah, check out our 40 facts on the Space Marine homeworlds,
yeah.
And you'll understand that there's a variety of ways that Space Marines can get a home planet. One of them is the way that you explained, but the other one is that they were a fleet-based chapter, they found a planet, and then they settled, and now they're not a fleet-based chapter. Or they had a planet, they did something wrong, the Inquisition was like, you have to do a penitent crusade. Yeah. Penitent crusade.
No, you're right, it is penitent.
Penitent. Yeah, and then they go off, and their world is actually exterminated? No,
exterminatus.
Excommunicate traitors, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All these Latin words that we're saying wrong.
But yeah, it could, anything you can think of could probably happen, and that's why. Again, it could just be you got the short end of the stick. You're just the fleet-based chapter.
Yep.
Which kind of sucks because then you got to provide fuel and have more things to control. I don't know. I'd rather have a fortress monastery.
It sounds more badass.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing too, this is just like a side note. The Imperial Fists are thought to have a fortress monastery and be a fleet-based chapter. It is not known by the common Imperial hierarchy that the Imperial Fists have a fortress monastery on Terra, and they used to, but they thought that it was destroyed during the Battle of Terra. It's still there. I just wanted to throw that in there as a little lore bit for you guys. Those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. Yeah.
This has been the South Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.